Today, we go international. We go to New Zealand. We want to find out what's going on in Kiwi land. How'd they do with COVID? What is cricket all about? And does New Zealand even have beer? It's the Brewmance podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. My name is Rob Hunter. My man over there is Mike Russell. They do have beer because we happen to have a New Zealand beer that Scott and Charlie Eddington have brought us. I'm going to hold it up so you can actually see the front of it. It's called what, Mike Russell?
Shower beer. The greatest shower beer ever. That's a session IPA, and it is. It actually comes with its own little shower holder, which you may have just seen. Depends on how we do this video, but we're going to be in the shower with this thing here, like toot sweet. It's going to happen. Yeah, so I'm very excited about trying this. Wait, here's my first question. So, Scott, Charlie, these fantastic, wonderful New Zealanders. This is the second beer I've had from New Zealand. Thank you both, by the way. Why am I getting gypped a couple of ounces here? This thing is like mine. I feel like a giant holding a can right now for some reason. Why are they so small?
Well, we work metric. The ounces don't really mean anything over here. That's just like a standard can size.
Yeah.
Really?
I'll tell you what, there's you can get a lot of cans will come a third bigger, and that's the ones you buy singly. But if you buy a 6-pack, it's usually that size.
Fantastic. Okay, well, not fantastic because you're getting robbed. Come here to the United States. We have full-size beer. For the love of grief. Yeah.
You notice if you watch the video, you can find it on YouTube. But Scott has his Goldwater. He has an Earn Your Goldwater hat on. So our company, our buddies, Earn Your Booze and Goldwater Brewing combining to make that. Scott's wearing it in this video right now. It's a beautiful thing. What are you guys drinking, by the way?
Go, Charlie.
Now, Charlie, she's not a beer drinker. Yeah, I was just going to say, because you have a gluten allergy. So you are drinking what?
What you
I was
have?
trying to get a gulp of cider. It's a local brewery. A nice big green apple, Granny Smith apple cider. Nice and tart, cold and refreshing. So, yeah.
All right. Scott, what are you weighing in with, buddy? What do you got?
All right. So I'll just on Charlie. So she's having it from Hallertau, which is a local Auckland brewery, and they do that cider as well. What I've got here, this is an Epic fresh hop IPA. Green Machine fresh hop IPA. So do you guys do fresh hop over out your way?
Yeah, we usually call, I believe that's called wet hop over here. It's called wet hop.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's just been the harvest season, so they're only just rolling out. So that's the one of the first ones I've had a chance to try. So once again, another local brewery here in Auckland.
And
so
Epic, you said Oakland Brewery.
Auckland.
Yeah.
Okay,
got it. Okay. Yeah. All right. We're the ones speaking with the accents here, so I'm trying to make sure that we're doing this right. Because I didn't know if you said all club because we were talking about some cricket a little earlier, but we'll get into that in just moments. But you have your entire country has handled COVID a little differently than we have here in the United States. So you went on lockdown, where we as Americans we're a freedom. You can't lock us down. We had our own version of lockdown. You had quite literally a lockdown. How did that get to you? And how did you respond to that?
Well, we were quite lucky. So, as in, government is quite good at, what's the word for it, communicating to us. So, we were pretty much told that we needed to stay home for possibly 7 to 11 weeks because they believed that this bug that was floating around the world and that had turned up on our shores basically loved to party. It loved conferences, it loved weddings, it loved crowded pubs, it loved anything where there was people who were crowded, and that they explained to us that even though it was related to the flu, you couldn't tell if someone had it because a lot of people weren't showing flu-like symptoms at the time. So it was kind of explained to us on national TV every day at 1 o'clock. Our Prime Minister and the senior head doctor of the country, which apparently we have one,
Director
would
General
come
of
on
Health.
TV. Yeah, that dude, the big dude, would
The
come
big
on
dude.
Actually,
TV.
So we're gonna have Charlie's
and
version, and then Scott's gonna give us the
Yeah,
real
and then-
version, is
yeah.
what I'm getting at. What we're
Oh,
guessing.
I'm sticking with
But I
Charlie's
like
version.
Charlie's version. I'm just
I
saying
see
Scott's
what
gonna be like,
Mine's
okay,
very
here's
simple.
the official position.
Yeah. So basically, we got told, and every day while we were at home, we would crowd around the TV set, like every household at 1:00, and the Prime Minister and this Director of Health, and probably quite a few different scientists would basically explain to us what was happening around the world, what they were trying to prevent, and what information they had learned at this point in time. And they'd been pretty honest, I think, the whole way by saying, we're finding out things every day. We don't actually know what's going on 100%, but we're watching all these other countries. We'd had, I think, maybe 26 people in hospital, and a couple had died, and they were all people in rest homes. So it was decided that, we all had to go home, and we had to sit at home. And we were also explained by our scientists that what they had seen was what was coming through, this related to the flu thing, was by the time it got to the 5th person, it had mutated itself to something that a scientist could not recognize. And that's what
Wow.
was scaring everyone, was we don't know what it is. It loves a good barbecue or party or wedding or anything where there's lots of you people drinking and having fun.
doesn't?
And by the time it gets to the 5th party goer,
Yeah.
we have no idea what you've got, mate. It's
Yeah.
so we were quite lucky in the regards that they trusted us with as much information as they could give us, and that's what made it a little bit more bearable, by the fact that every day we got an update of statistics and what was happening. So we felt a little bit stuck, but we also felt that there was an end result and they were sharing it with us. So it was 7 weeks of first lockdown, and that was like you were at home waving at people through the window, and that was it. You were only one person in your household could go to the supermarket. You could only go to the supermarket, and you were allowed to exercise within 1 kilometre of your house, and you couldn't talk to anybody on that trip. If you were out running and you saw your neighbour, you had to go 2 meters apart and keep running. You couldn't stand at the corner and talk to them. Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Scott will tell you the more scientific version now.
I mean, what was your thought when they said you're going to have to hunker down for 7 weeks? Only one of you can go at a time. Gave you the rules you just gave us, Charlie. Scott, what was your first thought? How do you prepare for this kind of thing? Do we have enough supplies? How do we do
We
this?
saw it coming a little bit.
Most of us just.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So there was murmurings for probably a week and a half that, all right, this is going to happen. And I think the UK had gone into their own lockdown, or their version of it, a little bit earlier. And so we could tell it was kind of pending. And so work was just frantically getting laptops ready so we could all work remotely and all that sort of carry on. And we're just waiting for that announcement. And then, so the PM came on for an emergency update one day and said, all right, so from tomorrow we're going into, what did they call it? Alert level 4, which was stay home.
I forgot about those alert levels.
Yeah.
Wow.
So which is just, stay home. Don't go anywhere. You can have your bubble. Have you guys talk about bubbles over there?
Does that involve this?
Cluster kind of we call them COVID clusters, or I think our person here in Arizona called them your quarantine pods. I think that's what you call them. Yeah.
So, but what I love about this is, Charlie, the way you described it was communication, and it seemed pretty effective because hearing it the way you said it, that COVID, this virus, loves big parties. It's a lot different than us in America. We have this rebellious spirit. You guys know, you've been to America numerous times. We've hung out. So you know the difference between New Zealanders, Kiwis, and America. We're like, ugh, we don't like to be told what to do. But if someone had approached us, it's like, say, our, chief scientist, Dr. Anthony Fauci, if he said to us, hey, but if he said, the virus loves weddings and it loves to spread at the brewery. It loves to spread here and it's super dangerous. We might have been like, interesting. We started going, wait a second, you're telling us what to do. You guys, though, seem much more like, okay, Jacinda's your prime minister, right? I don't remember her last name, but she got, a lot of press a couple of years back after there was a shooting there. So she became like this international superstar. But you guys trust her. So she's talking to you and you're like, okay, we're going to do what our prime minister says. Because we're like, nah, president, whatever. We're not doing what the president says, even if we agree with him.
I think for us, it's not just the fact it was her. It was the fact that she brought people on board who were also every day on TV, who were proper scientists who'd won multiple awards. And we had a chief medical officer who was running the hospitals and could explain to us that, yes, staying at home is not great, but our hospitals cannot handle, if we all get sick, we can't look after you. So you can look after yourselves in your own home, and we'll make sure you can get to the supermarket, and you've got power, and you've got water, and you've got entertainment. Even our biggest gym in the country gave free exercise classes on TV at 8 o'clock in the morning. You could get up and do exercise in front of the TV, and then they did classes for children at school. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, the 5 to 10-year-olds would have their 2 hours classes on TV with a teacher, and then the 10 to 13-year-olds would have their 2 to 3 classes in the afternoon on TV, and the whole country watched it. And it was explained to us that our hospitals could not handle 200,000 people getting sick within 6 months. We just can't handle it. They would have to leave us on the street or at home to die. So stay home for 7 weeks. It's shit, but it's better than what would happen if we didn't do it. And that's what was explained to us from day one. Yeah.
But, so how much in comparison to what we've gone through here in the United States, where everybody said they pretty much knew what was happening, this is how we do it, and you do this and you don't do that, and it was we've got it figured out and we got this. I'm sensing a difference in New Zealand. It was your leadership saying, look, no one knows squat, but we have very, very smart people around us that we're going to all try to figure this out together, and we're going to try to minimize the damage. Let's all get in this and huddle up, and let's do that. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Am I right?
Oh, very much so. It was, yeah, we're learning as we go. Things were changing all the time. Like I mentioned, the alert level 4 before. So as we started to come down through the alert levels, they had to adapt what they each one meant. And so I think we hit 2, and they're like, well, it doesn't really have quite enough restriction. 3's a bit intense, but so we were talking about like having a 2.5, which was basically you can go to work, the messages stay home, stay at least a meter from other people, which is about 3 feet. And also it was wear masks when you're on public transport. So they were introducing that as as the step up to try it. So it was all being tweaked as we went along. There were different messaging around like who could be open, who couldn't be open as we started to reopen businesses. For instance, cafes and restaurants, how they would operate, the maximum numbers that they could have. Like when they first reopened, they were talking about a maximum of 10 people. Wow. There were people having, I think, what was it, Charlie? Like it was like 10 people to have at a wedding or funeral, and then they increased that to 50 after a little while, just because it was just, hang on a minute, this is kind of over the top. We have to be reasonable here. So we kind of learned as we went, and we were seeing results over that time. Yeah. So I think that's why people were going along with it.
But you guys basically shut your borders down. You didn't let any flights in, I don't believe, from anywhere, not the United States, not even Australia. And I think now, as we record this, it's the middle of April. So you guys, I think just last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, just said, okay, let's work with Australia. So is that accurate? And are there any flights coming in from anywhere else? Because you guys are an island nation, so it's easy to say, okay, we can not have travel. Whereas we have 50 states, 48 are connected. It's impossible to say you can't go from Arizona, where we live, to California.
Yeah. We have had flights. So we've had a lot of returning New Zealanders come back. So the rule that came out was New Zealand citizens could return, and we were closed and we were locked down unless it was something of special significance. So, for instance, we had the Australian rugby team come and play games here later last year, as we were not during the lockdown, but as things were going on. We've had international cricket teams here, all that sort of thing. But so I was having a look. Yeah, Lion King's coming out.
And the Lion King. All of the necessities.
All the
Yes.
Just what you need. A musical by Elton John.
Yes.
Naughty.
There was uproar over the Wiggles.
The Wiggles. Wait a second. What do you mean uproar over the Wiggles? Aren't they national treasures? Come on.
No,
are they
they're
New
Aussies.
Zealand or are they Australian?
They're Australian, yeah. So
I'll
they
forget
came
them.
out.
Yeah, forget that. What it was. Yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah, forget about those punks. Yeah.
So between March and October, we had around about 40,000 New Zealand citizens return. So that's a net figure. So there were definitely flights coming and going, but there were no holiday makers. There were no Aussies coming to ski. There were no people coming to go and do Lord of the Rings tours or whatever it is that all the stuff that the tourism we would have over all that time. So that all closed off. So it's just people returning, which has caused all sorts of other interesting things. So all of a sudden we've got all these really highly skilled people returning to our country. Like we always talk about the brain drain, and now they're coming back, and so it's kind of like an exciting opportunity for various things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So just take us to now. Actually, no. Take us to the reopening as you got to start to step out, because it seems like as you're pitching it, it seems like a pretty good team effort. And I mean a team effort. What's the population of New Zealand? What kind of numbers of people we're talking about that all agree on one concept, and that's the lockdown? What's the population? Ish.
5 million.
Okay, so 5 million. Okay, so
we only hit 5 million because of the people coming home.
Okay. No, but okay, that's fine. So just to give everybody a rough vibe, that's basically 2 million less than Arizona. So what we still had 5 million agreeing on a concept and saying, yes, we're in. Now it opens up. Your prime minister says, okay, we're going to go down to, what would that be? Would that be level 2? If I'm understanding right?
No, so we're on level 1 at the moment, which is basically the only change from normality at the moment is the international border.
Oh, okay. Are you wearing masks?
Oh, you have to wear face masks on public transport, though, hun.
Oh,
okay.
Only on public transport. Right. So if you get
only on public
bus,
transport.
Yep. Yeah. So if you get on a bus, a train, or a plane, you have to wear a face mask. Other than that, nope.
And are people just dying in the streets and just falling all over the place because they're not wearing face masks while they drive? No? Okay.
No.
All right, good.
No,
there's 100 people in the country at the moment with COVID, and they're all in the same hotel and quarantining.
Holy
that's what you guys did, right? You guys, the country opened a hotel. So if you were coming in, even if you were a New Zealander, you had to stay in this hotel for the 14-day quarantine before you could go home and hang out with your family. Yeah. So that's just super interesting. I mean, it's a smart way to do it. But with 5 million people, it's a lot, logistically, it's a lot easier to do. Now, I want to go back to face masks for just a second because it's a huge deal. We're, I don't know how aware of it. We're getting in fights over it. It's nuts over here in the States. Did you guys have the same fights? Did you have to wear it in restaurants, or because you guys did a pretty good job of containing it in general, was it not an issue that New Zealand fought over?
They've only been mandatory in transport situations. They've held off making them completely mandatory because I think you guys will remember from when everything first started, everyone was worried that there was going to be a huge rush on face masks, and then there weren't going to be enough for the doctors and nurses. So they said, you don't need a mask. All right, guys, it's going to be okay. So we got that same message as well. It's like, no, you don't need a mask. And then as things progressed, and they're like, all right, cool, we've got enough stock. That was starting to suggest, all right, yeah, maybe wear a mask if you're out and about. And that was when we had, COVID out in the community, and you could get it because there were people wandering around with it.
I think one of the biggest differences between the United States and New Zealand, essentially any other country, is we were, when COVID hit, in the middle of a huge, Donald Trump, huge election cycle. I mean, a gigantic election cycle. So this thing was politicized. This thing was politicized to the nth degree here in the United States. Did you have any of that vibe, or were you just, okay, we have one leader group, and we're going to follow the leader group, and that's how we're going to do it? Not, oh, your side and your side. I mean, talk about that difference, the difference between what you saw in the United States going on and then what you had at home.
We had a national election last year as well. So
you did it right.
And I shouldn't be asked doing anything about it.
That's awesome.
There was definitely an aspect of...
Love you again.
There was definitely an aspect of politicism, but the difference, I guess, is that overriding thing was people were quite positive about the moves. So people had seen, we could see what was happening elsewhere in the world. We could see that we'd had 2,500 cases, 26 people die. Horrible that those 26 people died, but relative to other countries where they're getting thousands per day, it was, people could see, okay, no, things are right. So the politicism was not so much along like, they've got it completely wrong, they've screwed this up, what are you doing? It was a bit more like, well, we would totally have all those results, but we might have opened the businesses up more, and there'd be more money floating around and that sort of thing. So
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
we also got to watch America, England, and Australia have very interesting prime ministers and presidents, and those three countries at the time had some very heated elections, and New Zealanders don't do very well in confrontation. We just like things to be just pleasant. So it was so much easier just to tick the box of the person who ensured that life was easy. So, there was no hot political anything. It was just like, she keeps us alive. Yeah, you get a tick. Done.
That's awesome.
Yes. So how does that work? How does New Zealand politics work? I mean, you have a prime minister. So it's a parliamentary system?
Yeah.
How many parties are there across because how many islands is New Zealand? It's two main islands, right?
Two main islands, north and south.
Two main islands. So is there a divide between the islands? Is it like, okay, so you guys are in Auckland. They're like, Auckland, our side of the island, we do this. And those Wellington knuckleheads, those people are crazy.
Real simply, I guess. So we operate under MMP, mixed member proportional. So we vote for our local body electorate and then politician, and then we vote for a party. And so there's two main parties, and just in the most casual example, like comparison, the Labour Party who's in now would be like your Democrats versus the National Party who's in opposition is the Republicans. Okay. Really, really casual comparison. Policy-wise, it's poles apart. But then, so we'll have another, who have we got? We've got Act, Green, Māori. So there's another three parties who have seats in Parliament. And so that'll be on the basis of either somebody winning an electorate seat. So the Auckland Central has a Green MP as their local body MP. So they're considered a minor party. It's kind of a key seat just in the sense that it's the middle of the bigger city. But but by and large, the divide is very much similar to yours. So, we watched, so if you're in Auckland City, its chances are it goes Labour. If you're out in the country, chances are it goes National. It's
Same as here.
That's it.
There's not
Yeah,
much
exactly.
difference. Okay, well
Exactly.
done, Scott, on that explanation. We all
Yeah.
understand that. We knew exactly the language you were speaking right there.
Exactly.
Although we're the
Yeah.
ones with the accents. Great job.
So let's talk about what was open during COVID, because really what I want to get down to is, were you able to go get your local beer whenever you
Mhm.
wanted during COVID?
It was
We couldn't
crazy.
go get it.
So as soon as lockdown happened, my email inbox was flooded by companies selling wine, beer, whiskey, spirits. The government didn't close the liquor shops until like midnight. So the queues
Love it.
outside all the liquor shops as we were walking home from work before the night of the lockdown, which happened like midnight. So you basically had, I think, 24 hours to get food and 48 hours to get booze. And they were,
I love that.
drivers were allowed to work. They were like the only, so it was like nurses, doctors, supermarket workers, and couriers, and wine and companies that sold liquor. So the couriers were like running all around New Zealand, delivering booze for the whole 7 weeks, and everyone was happy.
Yes.
I feel like New Zealand gets
There was
me.
a lot of baking and a lot of drinking going on.
Absolutely.
So
You
much
lost. No,
baking
you
and
completely
so
shedded
much
your
drinking.
accent because you're
Yeah.
speaking so clearly to us right now. It's so wow. That is
Yeah.
fabulous. Okay, so let's get to it now, because you had the booze for the 7 weeks. That's great. Right now, the only thing that's different is what you're saying. The only thing is that you have to wear masks on public transportation. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it.
We
Okay, what about like
go to
vaccines
sports
and
games.
stuff? Are you guys mandating like vaccines? Anything? What's happening?
they're not mandatory. They're starting to be rolled out.
All right.
They're freely available to everybody. Well, they will be in time.
Yeah.
So but no, they're not mandatory at all.
But with such a low caseload, is there, amongst your friends, are you guys talking, yes, we're getting the vaccines when they get here, or is it more of a wait and see approach, or a combination?
There's a few people out there who are like, I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to see how everybody else in the office reacts.
I'm trying to see if everybody's going to die
is
first.
everybody else still alive?
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, well,
Yeah.
you can pick up a newspaper and read about people you don't know who are reacting to it. So you don't need to actually see them in your...
It's true.
I've been stocking on ammo for months in case everyone turns into zombies. I am ready to go.
Well, we were quite lucky. What our government did, instead of just panicking and buying the first one, they bought 4 different vaccines from 4 different companies, and they've got more than enough to cover us, plus a bit more, because we are going to look after some of the islands in the South Pacific. So we are responsible morally, and also because we are a wealthier country, we are looking after our neighbours. So we've ordered more vaccines to look after other countries as well. So what they've done is the vaccines that are doing very well, those are going to our what we call kind of front people who are working in the quarantine hotels or who are working at the hospitals, and then we'll go down to old age pensioners and people in rest homes. But as we're getting more information about the vaccines and how they're reacting around the world, we're tailoring who's going to get what vaccine and what's more appropriate for their age or their job. So we're taking our time. I think only 90,000 people have had one vaccine so far, because they're making sure that certain ones, and there are ones that don't need to be refrigerated, so those will go out to the rural areas and the islands out in the South Pacific who may not have access to refrigeration. But in the big cities, we've got lots of refrigeration, so we'll give it to those people there. So we're able to kind of tailor make where these vaccines are going. So yeah, we're not We're not stopping people on the street and saying, roll up your sleeves, Dad.
No.
We're taking our time. You know?
But what a refreshing difference it is.
Totally.
And I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna go back to it because here it is completely politicized, and I mean completely politicized. There, it's just kind of a unified front. We're going to figure this out together, and let's make sure we take care of the people that need to take care of, and everyone else can make that. I think that's fantastic. I'm very envious right now because the politics of coronavirus here in the United States has been damaging, and it's been maddening to deal with. And it's just so refreshing to see that other nations have just kind of done it the right way. I love that you said that there was the 4 different companies you guys got, and you're just going to kind of figure it out and just kind of take your time and vibe through that. And that's
Yeah.
How do you guys do it? How do you guys remain a team? I mean, New Zealanders, you guys seem to collaborate very well. Like, is it a national pride? Is it just, you know what? We're in this together. We kind of live on our own. We're islands. We're just chilling. What do you think it is?
I think it is our country's culture. It's kind of hard to explain. Especially it's a bit fresh coming from me, considering I'm only a first generation New Zealander. Where there are people
born in England,
can be, well, yeah, I'm an import.
One of the foreigners, those foreigners. I tell you,
who's
she wouldn't have got in the last year.
There are so many people who.
Good thing for you, Scott. She made it in.
Scott,
just as well. I know. She snuck in there with
cheeky buggers.
30 years to spare.
There are so many people in the country who came out in like the first canoes, who have got incredibly close ties to this country and such close ties to this land. But I think most people, when they come to New Zealand, even if they are several generations old or thousands of generations or only one, it's definitely kind of put to you that you are coming here to be a part of this country, and this country has been a little country but a big player in the big world, and you kind of learn very young to be really proud of that. You kind of learn that, our sports teams, our Olympic teams, our arts, our science, the inventors who invent things, our farmers are incredibly scientifically minded with all these. We export so much stuff from New Zealand that people desperately want, but we are now 5 million, but at one point when I was a teenager, only like 3.5 million.
Wow.
We hit above our weight, and we need to have pride in that. We need to have pride, and I do feel that that's drummed into anyone who comes to this country, no matter how many thousands of years ago or 6 weeks ago. It's we have to stick together, because if we don't, we're going to fail, basically.
So having pride in your nation,
we don't have enough money. We have to.
So having pride in your nation is a good thing outside of these borders, because we're told that no, we can't be proud of who we are. So we just got to let everyone, just admire everyone else.
Though. I love you guys. You guys, we go to a sports game in America and everyone stands up and they take their hats off. In New Zealand, we don't quite have the same outward pride, but we have a little secret inward pride that we would get embarrassed to admit to, basically.
Yeah. We mumble our way through the national anthem.
Yeah. No one knows the second verse. Is there a second verse? I don't even think there's a second verse. So we think that you guys are incredibly loyal to your country, and your children grow up with this incredible outwardly display of nationalism in a good way. I know nationalism can be used in a bad way as well, but in New Zealand it's kind of a secret little pride that you have that you don't show off too much, because you don't want to be an Australian or someone else. But
how do you deal with that? How do you deal with the people you're Australian? Oh, you're Australian. Like there's, and I will tell you, from a large portion of the United States, they would think New Zealand is a suburb of Australia. And I'd be curious. How do you combat that? You're like, hell no, we're New Zealand, for the love of God. Those guys don't know what they're doing. We're New Zealand.
It must be like you guys, where everyone thinks everyone comes from Boston, and you have to tell every tourist who comes to America that not everyone comes from Boston. Not
Do
everyone
people
goes
really think that
Boston.
around the world? I'm about to go hang myself. Excuse me.
Yeah. Woo! Tea party, baby.
I
I don't admit I'm from Southern California, so it's okay. I rarely admit that to anyone.
No, it's
we are
interesting
very
too because
culturally similar.
so
Oh, sorry.
proud.
Okay.
in what ways, Scott? In what ways?
Well, I mean, I was speaking to the point of like people confusing us with Australia. We are culturally similar to them. Like we follow the same sports. We're so we've got most of the immigrants to our countries over the sort of the last 200 years have come from the same places. And that's our major trading partner. We watch Home and Away and Neighbours. You know,
Being very diplomatic, Han. I would have put it very differently.
He's a New Zealander. You're a Brit who became a New Zealander. That's the difference, right?
There's definitely a big brother, little brother thing, but you know, it's all
like us in Canada.
The big brother, right? And they're the little brother, right?
Us in Canada, same
Of
thing.
course.
We're the big brother,
The West
Canada.
Island.
Like, okay, Canada, whatever. Get out of here. You're nice, and because Canada is super. Everybody in Canada is super nice. Like, that's great, but it's really cold, and they're just like weird and like hockey too much.
They speak
like,
what is that?
Exactly.
Well, it's because it's so vast. If you meet somebody over there, you're probably never going to see someone for another 3 weeks. You better be nice to them, otherwise.
Right. That's a good point. That's a dang good point.
But you guys work in travel, and you guys have traveled a lot in your life. So before we get into where you guys have traveled, because I want to ask you, about visiting the United States. You've been here to Arizona, where both Mike and I live several different times. How has it been in work? Because you guys work in the travel industry. So what is the impact that has had on you because of basically the shutdown of international travel? You guys book trips for people.
This has definitely been, other than having maybe contact with people who have passed away or have been really ill from COVID, the only other part of COVID that's really affected us is the heartbreakingness of people losing their jobs and their incomes and their businesses. And that really, I don't think there's anywhere in the world that hasn't been affected by that, not just in the travel business, but in so many different types of businesses. And I don't think it mattered what your country did, if you stayed open or you closed, it has affected just everyone. I mean, in our company, it's been, we've had 3 rounds of goodbyes.
Wow.
And that's been really distressing, having to see people no fault of their own, having to pack up their desks and leaving and not knowing when they could get another job. Some people still haven't. And that's been the really sad part, is having to say goodbye to people and not seeing them on a daily basis, really.
And those that have been displaced, those that had to pack up their desks and move on. Here we had certain programs that would take care of those people. Take care of those people. Was there a certain program in New Zealand? They did the same thing, understanding that, look, it is what it is. It was nobody's fault, but we displaced everybody. We're going to kick in. How'd that work out?
Yeah, we had a wage subsidy. So that came out fairly early through the whole process. And so basically the guts of it was, if you don't sack someone, you can get the wage subsidy. So the first round of goodbyes was the idea was it's a goodbye for now. This was back in the days when we thought, oh, sweet, like after these 4 weeks, it's impossible for anyone to still have COVID. So then we're back to normal, right? So that's how everybody felt at the time. So we were kind of like, cool, we're going to see you guys real soon. I'm really sorry about this, but hang on, it's going to be good. So basically they were on stand down. So they were still employed by the company. but they had no work and they weren't getting paid. So they were paid by the government effectively. And so then that eventually ran out after 12 weeks, I believe. And following on from that, it's been earmarked for specific industries. So particularly like our tourism industry, so distinct from our travel industry, but like for our internal tourism, but for people visiting New Zealand, for restaurants, whenever we've hit another round of lockdown, because we have had subsequent lockdowns and more regionally based ones. So if Auckland goes into lockdown, then the businesses can apply for a subsidy to just try and keep people employed as much as possible.
So that it adds strain to it too, because those are the real effects of shutdowns. And that's what we've been worried about here in the States is those real effects. There's risk, obviously, but there's that challenge of trying to be all things for all people, which that's the world has in common. And I think that's the funniest part about this and how we divide ourselves. And we're like, if you look at what's going on in New Zealand, you look at Australia, you even look at Serbia, we're all being impacted by this. And we're just not united as people, and it's kind of bizarre. That's what I do love about you Kiwis. You seem to get that you're a team. I wish the whole world understood that, ultimately we're all a team. If we did all this together, we'd probably figure things out. But I digress because I want to talk about cricket with you guys in a minute.
I do too. Hold on a second. Wait, we talk about cricket. There's essentially four sports we're talking about here. We talk about American football. We talk about rugby. And you brought up rugby, Scott, a little bit earlier. In rugby, far superior in almost every way. I don't really understand what's going on. I just know there's men and women that are infinitely tougher than me participating in that sport. So I think it's fantastic. It's fun. And a dude shoots out and does that kind of thing. I think it's hilarious. But then there's the real sport, which is baseball. And then there's the kind of I'm trying to be baseball, I haven't figured it out yet, cricket. So can you help me with that, Scott, if you could? And really, what the heck is cricket all about? What are these guys doing?
I can tell you about it. I'll tell you what, one of the best positive spin-offs of COVID is because I was no longer working Saturdays, I joined a cricket club and I started playing again. So first time since school, I was playing cricket again this year.
Okay, so is there a position in cricket that you're playing? I need to know the positions here.
Cricket, you're either a bowler or a batter. Or a
bowler or a batter.
So either
or
pitcher,
wicket keeper.
Or catcher would be the alternative.
I need another drink.
Think of a wicket keeper.
So there's three people on the field at once?
Oh no, there's 11 players in a team. So there'll be one person bowling. You'll have two people batting at one time, and then the wicket keepers. Yeah. So the pitch that we play on is it's a 22-yard strip of grass.
You can tell Charlie loves cricket.
No, I'm so into this right now. I want to learn everything about it. I want to figure this out.
Yeah.
22 yards.
So big difference. Yeah, so 22-yard strip of grass in the middle of the field. So it's a 360-degree game.
Like our pitching mound would be 22 yards. Because our pitching mound is 60 feet, 6 inches. So 22 yards, roughly 66 feet.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty similar. So you guys play basically within about 135 degrees? Would you say that's about right? From foul?
That's probably
about
corner? Right. Yeah. Okay. There's probably a peripheral vision. Like if you're looking at home plate, you could see the foul poles on both sides. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So ours is a 360-degree game. So that pitch is in the middle of an oval. The wicketkeeper's sitting behind the batsman, and you'll have a batsman at each end. They don't just get one shot at it. So if they hit the ball out into the field and they can run to the other end, they run to the other end and they stay in and they wait for the next ball to come. And then so the batsman will switch around and they bat until they get out. So
how do you get out?
So you get out caught. You can get out caught. There's 10 ways of getting out.
Okay.
Caught is pretty simple. Bowled. So you've got what are called stumps. It's a little 3 sticks of wood behind the batsman. If those get hit, you're out. It's called bowled.
That's like a strike in baseball. Be a strike.
So the batsman is defending the 3 stumps behind him. Like, no, you can't touch those. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, got it. Okay, makes sense.
Yep, you defend those with your life.
Okay.
So
that gets advanced.
So run out. So is just like being out at the base in baseball. If you hit it and try and run and you don't make it to the other end, and they hit the stumps with the ball, then you're out, run out. Then there's lots of funny ones. So leg before wicket it would have bowled you. You didn't hit it, but it hit you. So that's out.
Okay, so what do you get hit with? I mean, do you get hit? Is it a baseball size ball here? I mean, is it heavy? Does it hurt?
It's pretty much like a baseball. It's it's cork wrapped in leather, and it's stitched. It's just got one seam around the middle though, as opposed to like the sort of figure 8 shape you guys have. And it's I think it's about 163 grams. I can't put that in ounces for you, sorry, mate. But
it's impressive.
I can't tell you how much a baseball weighs.
No,
don't worry about that.
Yeah.
No,
It's
I think this is
same.
fabulous. I think this is so cool. And I remember actually trying to explain baseball to friends from Germany at one point, and it was one of the most challenging things I've ever done. So that would be the next thing. I think the next level we need to hit is I need to watch a cricket match with you as you explain it to me. And we'll just have fun watching baseball. Charlie's probably already explained baseball. She's an Angels fan. She good. She knows what's going on.
And a diehard hockey fan as well. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my Las Vegas Golden Knights are playing right at this moment. It's the second period. I have no idea what the score is. And anyone tells me, I will shoot them.
Okay.
I promise I don't want to get shot.
I do have a question, though. I do have a question because
we don't have
I
guns
made
anyway.
Mike.
That's what I was saying.
True.
You don't have
They
guns.
don't have
How do you do that?
With a pea shooter.
I told them not to with a pea shooter. Different culture. So, do we want to talk about guns or no?
No, because
I'm gonna leave this up to you.
Hey, in my defense, Scott brought it up.
I don't mind.
Scott did say, and she said she was going to shoot me.
We don't mind about
So
that.
there we go.
Guns are great. Guns are great for. In New Zealand, we have a problem where all of our lovely people who came to New Zealand brought horrible animals with them. Most of them taste really good.
Oh, fantastic. I love it.
And wild pig. And tar, which is Himalayan sheep, which I have to say, really good as a hamburger beef patty style thing.
Really?
And
is it served in restaurants?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know, but I cook it at home.
Okay.
In New Zealand, we have most of our wildlife can't fly. It's a very long story why they just gave up flying.
And they're birds too, by the way.
We have no.
They're mostly birds who can't fly.
So we have no furry animals. We have nothing that's furry. We don't have anything that runs the plains. We didn't have.
Yeah, but you do have a cat.
Oh, that's a cat.
We can see.
That's not indigenous. That's not indigenous. So when we all turned up, because there was no humans here for so long, the only animals that lived here were lizards and something very distantly related to a dragon.
And they were pissed off. They're like, "What are these big
birds.
ape-looking like things here doing?"
Yeah, and the birds forgot how to fly because there was no need to. No one ever chased them. They just went, "Well, I'll get fat and I'll have short feathers, and that's it." So we all came here and we introduced things like deer and pigs. So I'm a big fan of guns that are used in a sensible way to hunt these horrible pests, to keep them down so our national parks and our animals, which are mainly birds, can survive. And I quite like venison, so I'm a.
Oh, I love venison. Oh, venison's it.
Nice.
Oh,
I tell you,
so
my
good.
venison pie. I make a venison pie that is just. Anyway, so I'm not a fan of guns. I'm a fan of people who hunt to provide food for their families and protect our native bush. All for that. Okay. Not a problem.
Fantastic.
With that. Yeah.
I love it. See, Rob,
I don't
it
know
didn't
what
get
Scott
weird.
because I've
I'm
never
telling
asked him.
you, he knew what's up.
No, I love it. But I mean, that's it, right? There is a purpose for them, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. Doesn't mean you have to like it. Doesn't mean you have to own one. Doesn't mean you have to own 5. It just means, okay, there's people that do their thing because most of the world eats meat. It is what it is. The animal dies somehow, some way, whether it's with a firearm or electric shock to the cow or whatever. I do want to ask you one more sports question, though, because I made Mike watch this show on Amazon. It's like the world's toughest race.
Yes.
And I need to know,
These people are freaks.
The New Zealand team dominated this race. So it took place in Fiji.
Really?
And it was this race across Fiji. It was like 175 kilometers or something like that.
Oh, is this the running one where they do ridiculous things?
They run, they bike, they do like,
Yeah.
And this guy name is Nathan Favau, I think his name is. He's a native New Zealander. He's a stud.
Yeah.
This guy needs to be
a national
Kiwi
hero.
national hero because he's like, he wins all these endurance challenges. I'm like, man, I got a man crush on this guy.
Yeah. How many statues do you have of him?
You should have statues of him. So look him
We're
up.
not big on statues. I will look them up.
Good.
Even
should
better.
Fascinated.
Statues are lame.
Yeah, he's even got his own website, nathanfavau.nz. So he's straight up all in. It's awesome. You might see him in, I don't know, maybe he's a Wellington guy, though. I don't know. But I don't know if it's out for you guys on Kiwi Prime. I don't know if you guys have Amazon Prime, being an island. But if you do get a chance to check out the show, because I was like, the New Zealand team just rocked, just dominated.
Yeah,
It was amazing.
Yeah. You guys came off that series made all of you look like genetic freaks.
Yep.
That you just wouldn't stop for days on end. Yeah, in a race because that's what you do for national pride. That's what the whole series came off as. And I thought, well, I'm just gonna sit here and drink a beer and get fat. I don't care.
He lives in
Yeah.
Tasman Bay, his website says.
Oh, does he really?
Cool.
That is like one of the most beautiful parts of New Zealand. Like, yeah. Like, stunning.
And awesome for outdoor sport. The sun's always shining.
Yeah.
It's probably where he trains.
Talk to me about fishing in your country, because you are surrounded by something called water, and a lot of there's fish around there. I'm a huge angler. I love offshore fishing. Is that a big thing in New Zealand?
Ooh.
Huge.
Yeah, my uncle, he has just been told by his boss that he doesn't need to work next week because the apples haven't done whatever the apples have to do while they're on the trees. So he's going fishing for the week. He just sent me a message going, I'm going fishing for the week. Well, what do you want? Do you want some trout? Do you want some salmon? Do you want me to go sea fishing? I'm like, okay, whatever you catch, my freezer is open.
Okay, so there's a lot of inland fish like trout and things like that, and stream fish. But that, like, when you do go offshore, what's out there? Because we just think it's Finding Nemo, and that's not probably not the case. So tell me what is outside. Tell me what's offshore.
Never hooked a clownfish.
We're not tropical at all. It's quite cold here. So we have inland would be trout fishing, like fly fishing. We have the rods and you do the little thing, whatever. So that's for trout, which I think is sadly an induced species. I don't think it's indigenous. But anyway, we've got that. And then we've got, what else have we got? So then everything else is mainly sea. So we've got salmon. But I think most people, isn't that like in farms these days, huh? Like you go to the salmon farm and
predominantly.
they whip something out.
They've got some rivers and things.
But we're quite famous for these. I don't know what they taste like. But we have these things called makos, which apparently are scarier than sharks. Like they have a bite on them that is just
spelled mako.
Okay. Well, they're the evilest of sharks. Makos.
And they're one of the most delicious fish you'll ever eat in your life. You eat those, right? The makos?
I have no idea, but I know they're really scary, and everyone tells you never. If you get one on the line, cut the line.
Sharks end up in the fish and chips. Shut up.
Nice. Whole different level of fish and chips down there in New Zealand. Now,
shark and taties.
Yeah.
What is a hard item to get in New Zealand? Because we've talked about deodorant and how difficult it is for you guys and how expensive deodorant is. Because again, you have two islands, right? Two good sized islands. but the things that you guys don't make, you got to ship in, and either it's got to be Australia or somewhere else that's close. So what is an average price of a thing of deodorant cost you guys?
Well, if you want something semi-decent, that's actually,
You don't want to smell, in other words.
Yeah. Basically, if you want to make it to lunchtime without everybody gravitating away from you, you're looking at about $15. So probably 10 of your dollars.
I mean, if this
That's the only
is what it
problem.
is, I mean, $10. I mean, that's fine. I mean, if I
country, we're amazing people, and everything has to be shipped in. So 75% of our medical equipment and drugs has to get shipped in. If you want to buy a bicycle, because everyone bought bicycles in lockdown because there was nothing else to do, we ran out of bicycles, and you have to wait. There's a waiting list for bicycles in this country. We ship everything out. The rest of the world will pay.
We toyed with cutting them in half and making them unicycles.
So we sell everything that we make. So there's nothing here left for us, and then we have to ship it all down.
It was the ultimate pivot. We're just going to set up circuses.
My cousin,
might as well.
Now this just tells you how bad it is. My cousin in London can buy a leg of lamb cheaper than I can buy a leg of lamb, and that leg of lamb has gone all the way from New Zealand to England, and she can still buy it cheaper than what I can buy it here.
Wow.
Because I'm not the market that's willing to pay.
Yeah. Wow. That you're not entirely alone there. I mean, there's been a run.
Rob and Amy. Yeah.
Come on
Anytime.
over.
Come on out.
And
soon as they allow you.
Yeah.
Are they allowing you to get out of there?
Yep, we can. You can always go, but the trouble is you have to then quarantine on the way home for 14 days, and it costs you in New Zealand dollars, and I will try and translate into US. Costs you about $2,100 for your 14 days stay in the hotel.
Oh, so you have to pay for it. So if you
pay for it.
Yeah.
So that's
if you leave, it's going to be costly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
To come back.
Okay.
That's what
wait.
everyone.
We'll wait on that.
We're not coming to see you because I would love to come and see you and buy deodorant.
Yeah, we can. Okay. Here's the promise. When you do get over here, and it's you don't have to spend $2,000 to get back. We'll have deodorant packed up for you. Absolutely, 100%. And then no, we're just gonna have it more for us because we don't know if you're bringing it or not. So we're just gonna have some for you when you get here. Now you said a lot of beef. You're talking about venison, fantastic, and all this. Do you have a lot of beef in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite a lot.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say we're going to have beef when you get here. Okay. Figure something out.
Yeah. Dairying is probably the biggest industry over here. So the offshoot of having dairy cows is male cows.
All right. Right on.
Yeah.
Carve up.
Cool. Yeah. Absolutely.
Bulls. They call them.
This has been very eye-opening.
It's been fantastic.
This is getting to know New Zealand a little bit. Our friends Scott and Charlie are with us. They live in Auckland, New Zealand. Let's talk about the beer / wine / drink scene in Auckland. So I've been privileged enough to try some of the beers that you guys have brought me or shipped me into the United States, which has been fantastic, including the one that Mike and I are drinking here from Behemoth Brewing, their shower beer session IPA. So tell me about how many breweries are there? Where do you like to go? Like, if I come to Auckland, where are you going to recommend that we go? And, in like 5 years when COVID's gone away, when we can go hang out in Auckland, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go?
Oh, tell me it's not going to be 5 years.
No,
surely
let's just say 2022 just for fun.
We will escape this place. Don't worry. We'll break through barriers. There's no way 5 years. You can't hold us down that long.
We're going to immigrate. By the time America's going this crazy way, we're like, we're going to be Kiwis. Let's go.
So we live in a suburb called Grey Lynn, and about 15 minutes walk from here is a little suburb called Kingsland, and that is smack in the middle of what's known as the Auckland Beer Mile, which starts up in with a brewery called Galbraith's. You go past, there's a little bit offshoot. There's Behemoth. They opened it up in November. Their own brew bar called Shirley's, which was, probably not the best move to open up during the middle of COVID, but they made it through, and they're still going strong. Their marketing is outstanding. And then we've got Garage Project. Well, that was the beer I sent to you guys, or we brought over for you guys that you did on the previous previous show. Yeah,
check that out.
There's Urbanaut at the other end, which is another little local brewery. So that's just within that miles distance. And then across the road from Urbanaut is a spot called the Beer Spot, who just sell good beer from any local breweries that bring it in. There's a few spots sort of northwest Auckland. So Hallertau, like Charlie's drinking their cider today. Epic's from pretty much just by the airport. So that's going to be first stop on any tour. It's only 10 minutes away.
As soon as you land.
Yeah. So
that's fantastic.
There's quite a few. It's good.
Now here in Arizona, we always talk about, the nationwide craft scene kind of sleeps on Arizona and doesn't give Arizona really the respect that it deserves, because we have an amazing craft beer scene here. Is it the same feel? Does Australia have like some crazy beer scene? And you're like, whoa, wait a second. No, New Zealand, we got this going on down here. Same vibe?
To be perfectly honest,
other way around.
The Australian craft beer scene is just kind of
Australia doesn't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Australia's really dicey with liquor. It's really expensive. It's weird where you can buy it and where you can't, and you've got to be in the know and a millionaire to be able to drink beer.
No kidding.
Is that why they sell? Is that why Foster's comes in such a big can? They can only get one can. Is that why?
Well, it's probably
it's
like Charlie's lamb of leg or leg of lamb.
Yeah.
It's probably cheaper for us to buy Foster's than the average Australian. It's like, we just shipped that to America.
Well,
they don't drink
the
Foster's over there.
Australians have the same. But they have the same problem with wine, though. I have an uncle who immigrated from Northern Ireland to Australia, and we go and see him quite regularly. He's had a family over there. He's the same age as my mum, and she's had her family here. And we go across and see them because it's closer than Northern Ireland. And my mum, he came over to New Zealand, and mum, for some reason, took him to the supermarket. He must have wanted to get out the house. And mum took him to the supermarket, and you can buy wine in a supermarket in New Zealand. And she found him after 10 minutes, and he was, as she exaggerated, quietly sobbing into his handkerchief, because the wine, his favourite wine in Australia, Australian-made, grown Australian grapes wine, was cheaper in New Zealand than Australia. And he made her buy like 12 bottles of it, and he put it in his suitcase.
We call that the weekend.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, because every time I see an Australian, they're always drunk. Like anytime you go, like you in Mexico and you hang out with Australians, they're hammered every time. They're drinking like you under the table, and you're like, well, all Australians do is drink. I'm like, because they get out and they're like, it's only $2. I'm having
they can finally afford it.
And
it's like they've just turned 18 for the first time.
When they come to America,
Oh yeah, 21.
It gets even funnier though. When it comes to 21. When it comes to spirits, as in like your whiskeys and your bourbons and your rums and that, in Australian, a double shot of bourbon. Say if they order a bourbon and cola in Australia, it's only 30 mils. So when they go to America and they order a double bourbon and Coke, they get plastered because it's twice the amount, and they're not expecting it. It's like 45 mils, isn't it? Double shot in America? Yeah.
Sounds good. We don't do mils.
Accommodating.
We do fingers. Like, okay, how many? Like you pour it on your glass and you go 3 fingers there. You go.
Yeah. We're just taking care of our guests. That's all it is. Yeah. We don't usually do that with us. We just take care of our guests when they I'm in. You have cool accents, and we're like, and double it up. Let's go.
Very hospitable. Absolutely. So let's do a little review. So we like to end the Brewmance podcast by doing a little bit review of the things that we are drinking.
Yes.
So I believe that we should go ladies first. So Charlie, you're drinking a cider. What's the name of the brewery that makes the ciders?
So the brewery is called Hallertau. I'll get Scott to spell it. And it's a green apple cider. And I love it. It's very crisp and very dry. And I love it even more because the brewery's only 15 minutes away. So they've given me a glass flagon. And I just take my glass flagon and they fill it up for me. And I come home. And then when I finish, I take it back and they refill it. And I don't ever have to buy any plastic or anything for my cider.
And that's 15 minutes on foot, by the way.
Oh, wait. What is it? You said a glass.
Perfect.
What?
Flagon.
Flagon.
What do I translate that to, hon?
Is that
like a
growler?
Yeah.
Like a growler. Okay,
Like a big.
Take that off and I can show it to you.
I'm calling my growlers flagons from here on out because that's fantastic. Oh no, it's
There
like
you
a
go.
yeah.
Oh,
It's kind of like a growler, yeah.
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 Is it glass or plastic? It looks it's okay. It's
It's
glass.
glass.
It's got the cool
Growler.
funky top on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
Now, a growler in New Zealand means something very different. So that's why I'm having a giggle. We're not going to go
Okay.
into what it is, but it means something very different.
It's anatomical.
Mm. Mhm.
Siri, what does
Thanks.
growler mean in Kiwi? No, I can't.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. See,
Yeah.
we learned another thing here about Kiwis.
All
You say
right.
growler and you're like, whoa.
Not gonna say that.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up.
Stop it.
just to
All right,
make sure.
Scott. What do you got, bud?
All right. So yeah, this is the Epic Fresh Hop Green Machine IPA. It's good. It's a nice balance to it. There's a little bit of hoppiness. So it's not kicking me in the face. I'm really enjoying it. I'd say I've got to give it a 7.5.
Okay.
Maybe that. Hey,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Charlie doesn't agree though. Charlie gave that like, come on. She gave one of those.
But Charlie has a gluten thing.
Yeah.
She can't drink beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the 7.5 though. All right,
No,
the
I
green,
can't.
thing.
No, I
that
can't.
wet. It's kind of wet. We call that wet hopped here in the Estados Unidos. So
Now, let me tell you one more thing about Charlie and Scott.
yeah.
They got married in a brewery about a year and a half-ish ago?
Yeah. Oh,
I
exactly
don't know,
15
Scott.
months.
Yeah, let's say. Because our buddy New York Rob actually got to go to the wedding, but they got married at a brewery. Like, how
That's
cool
fantastic.
is that?
We did.
And if I
It
remember
was.
the story correctly, and correct me, you actually went to the brewery and you said, hey, we're getting married. Would you let us get married here? And they were like, well, we've never done that thing before, but yeah, why not? Being
That's
a
more or
Kiwi.
less word for
Well,
word.
Scott's going to get even more street cred in a minute because
Ooh.
it's not just the wedding that happened in a brewery. Him and my best friend asked me, well, they didn't really ask me to marry him. They just drunkenly suggested at a beer festival that maybe it was a good idea that I got married to him. And that was the proposal, was my best friend and him very drunk, giggling away,
Again.
who said,
Again.
you guys should get married. We should get married at a proper
Again.
beer festival.
That's
Scott,
it.
I was
Yeah.
on that because it was a
Scott,
beer festival.
Perfect.
Gab's Beer Festival. It
Yeah.
was.
That's fantastic.
That is.
Because here we went through a bunch of nonsense and garbage and like planning and forget that. No, we could have done this at a beer fest. We are lame. Good job, Scott. Now you're setting the bar, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Behemoth shower beer. We've been waiting a while to drink this.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what do you think?
I think I'm getting gypped. Is what I'm doing. I'm getting totally ripped
He's
off. by
mad
like
about
2
the,
ounces.
he's mad about
Look
the
at this thing.
can.
It's tiny.
It's cute.
What is
Cute.
this? Yeah. So no, I do think it's fantastic because I've become a session IPA fan with something here locally called All Day IPA. I do like the session IPAs. This has a little more crafty beer taste to it than a lot of the session IPAs we have here in the States. I do really like it, and I really do wish it had a couple more ounces to it. I wish can was America size, but it's not. It's cool. No, but it makes you enjoy it more. I've gone through an entire podcast just sipping on this thing, where normally I'd just be, let's get this thing second one, second, third, keep going. I do like it. I appreciate it. This is an 8 beer easy to me, easy, and I'm going to enjoy one in the shower here later.
It size matters here in the United States. There, Scott, Charlie.
I drive a truck.
It says, grab this beer, open this beer, drink this beer in the shower. I'm going to up you to an 8.5 Behemoth and your shower beer.
Ooh.
Very, very good. I like it. I would drink, yeah. And it's only 4.6%. So
Right.
not only is it perfect for a shower, here in the summer, it's perfect for our pools, hanging out by the pool, 108 degrees out, which I forget how you guys do your Celsius thing, but
Yeah.
108 would be, I don't know.
It's
I have no
warm.
clue.
We only
38
invented
or something.
the system. We're the only nation that
24,
doesn't use.
So 108 is about 34 degrees. So if you see 34 in
Oh, it's
Auckland,
hot.
people
That's
are
hot.
freaking out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're freaking out.
That's hot. It's like,
That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So before we get out of
it's like
here,
we've become a tropical nation suddenly.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
well,
Rob,
you never know.
I'm gonna throw a little factoid at you, because you commented size matters, which is funny because you're drinking Behemoth beer.
Remember, this is a
Names.
family program, sir. Okay, all right.
yeah.
Remember, before
Shut your growler. Wait.
Rob, you can't say that.
It's named for their founder and brewer, who's known as the Beer Giraffe, because he's a big fella. He also brews what's called a 6'5" IPA, which is a 6.5%, because that's how tall he is.
Nice.
But Scott is also very tall. Like, he can't even fit in my house. Like, he had to duck underneath the porch because his toes. So how tall are you, Scott?
Yeah, I'm about 6'5".
Yeah, see? So the 6'5" IPA is perfect for Scott.
Yeah.
It is absolutely.
My
Love that stuff.
13-year-old just about hit 6 feet. So he's gonna be right behind you on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
His mom's
He's
5'3",
going to have another growth spurt, 16?
probably.
Whoa, she's
How much do you
right.
spend on
Crazy.
shoes?
Oh my! I just bought him size 13. Well, I don't know the same. I bought him size 13 cleats for baseball. That's a size
Hopefully-
larger than mine.
Whoa.
I'm 6'1".
Hopefully his feet stop there, because then it gets a nightmare trying to find
Yeah.
anything bigger.
My uncles though, both of my uncles size 15.
Oh,
That's hard.
Yeah. That's
great
just wrong.
summers, surely.
Size
That's hard
matters.
and expensive.
By the way, I just
But
looked
we
up what
won't talk
growler
about
means.
size of growler, okay?
Yeah, I just looked up what it means. It's worse than I thought. So I'm just going to leave it at that. You can Google it yourself.
My
Before we get
mother
out of
is
here,
not going to be watching this.
tell us your favorite place in the United States. You guys have both been here several times, working at a travel agency. You come to the United States pre-COVID quite frequently. What do you love to do when you're in the United States? Where do you love to go? What do you love to see?
Oh, you put me on the spot.
Oh,
there
she's clearly
because-
thinking.
You can
Yeah.
you can do like
Just
a
list
top
them.
3. You can do like
Yeah,
a
just
top
list.
3.
Just
Yeah.
say everything
Just
that comes to
name some
mind.
facts.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, well, okay, no, you go, Charlie, if you're ready.
No, you go. You go.
Okay. Well, it's real easy for me, because what we love to do in the States is we love to get outdoors, we love to hike, we love to see just standard American things, go to sports, enjoy being out in bars and restaurants and things like that. And then I really love seeing mates. So Phoenix, I've got mates there. You've got canyons and hills to climb up and wander around, and you've got all the 4 main sports covered, and you've got a great beer and restaurant scene.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now you're on the spot, Charlie. Now it's if it's not Phoenix,
Not
we're
Phoenix.
I'm gonna hit the delete button right now.
You can go to Vegas and watch your Golden Knights, and we'll keep Scott here, and we'll take him to Diamondbacks games and Cardinals games and everything else.
And please excuse me because I don't know hockey too well. So do the Golden Knights actually play the Coyotes? And if they do, that's what needs to happen. That's when it needs to come together.
No, it won't ever happen because our record against the Coyotes is so amazing that Scott could not handle watching his team lose one more time. Sorry, boys, but when it comes to ice hockey in the desert, the Las Vegas Golden Knights just ruins the Coyotes. Sorry.
Dang.
It happens.
Money talks when it
Trash
comes
talking.
to investing into ice hockey teams. Yep.
Okay, well, fair enough. All right.
Sorry.
She speaks from knowledge. I love it. That's fantastic. I don't have a dog.
Naughty, and I'm gonna go
Not as naughty as Growler.
Stop it! My mum might watch this.
Mom, I'm sorry. It means something different here in the States.
Oh, they
We just
call
look at it as a
something
thing
different
to-
again in England.
Yeah, wow.
That is the T word. How about that? Let's go with the T word.
Exactly. The G word.
So I. Oh, you guys.
As long as you don't ask her what's in her fanny pack, you know, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Charlie. Sorry, I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. So I'm gonna go very broad. I'm really, really sorry, but I'm gonna choose 3 states. I'm gonna go for states, not cities. And I'm gonna go for my 3 favorite states, which is Utah, Arizona, and Nevada. Can't decide in what order. Can't rank them. But just if I'm gonna go to one, I'm gonna go to the other 2. Just the breweries, the fantastic people, awesome sports, and of course the great outdoors. You guys are basically New Zealand on roids, and like your national parks are just crazy. They're awesome. So
I love it. One day, Mike and I will both get down to see you guys. We'll do an Auckland beer tour and whatever else. I also just read that the Amazon is going to make a Lord of the Rings series. The first season, get this, Mike, they're going to spend $465 million just on one season to film down there in New Zealand. That's pretty cool for you guys.
I have a friend of mine who's actually made it as an extra. So he went to auditions last week. And he is one of the tall things with the pointy ears. What are the tall things with pointy ears?
An elf.
What are they called?
Elves.
Yeah, he's one of those.
Yeah.
He's one of those.
If you talk to somebody around here who's in the film industry who can't tell you what they're doing,
They're in the Lord of the Rings.
it's nothing untoward. They're on Lord of the Rings.
The film industry in New Zealand consists of J.A.R.K. Tolkien. Exactly.
That's awesome.
Pretty much.
That is
really
awesome.
Short or really tall. If you're just short or tall in this country, out of the 5 million, you've been an extra in Lord of the Rings. Guaranteed.
If you've got hairy feet, you've got it made.
Done. I remember watching whatever one it was. They had obviously kids climb up the mountain because they wanted them to look short, and it was obvious when watching the 30,000-foot view. I'm like, oh, those are kids. So good job. The New Zealand kids are going to be bragging about this. That's me walking up that hill. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, Scott, this has been incredibly fun to learn a little bit about New Zealand, how you guys did with COVID, also getting to try New Zealand beer. Well, you guys had some locals as well. We can't wait to get you guys back out to Arizona at some point soon and get us down to Auckland and hang out with y'all. It's been a long time coming. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Yes.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you so much. It's been awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Remember, the key word is growler. Everybody say growler.